right, I'm going to start recording now. And
Me too.
You're going to hear my voice.
I can hear you.
And I'm going to call you Frantic.
Hi.
But your real name's Josh.
Mm-hmm.
Should I try to say everything this entire episode in this one cadence, enunciating every sentence with the exact same inflection?
Shouldn't enunciate just where it doesn't make sense.
It's hard to do. But I did have consistent little bars in the recording, so that's something.
Yeah, that's music. You just made a song. You just made a song right there.
Am I Coheed?
Oh. So, man, how you doing? What's up?
I'm doing great. I think we might be recording already, but I'm doing pretty dang good. Welcome, friend, to another conversation about indie games.
Well, you did it to me last time, so I think that we'll just roll with the cold opens. Why not? I like it. It's fun. What do you think?
Sometimes you just got to force the recording to start, because otherwise we'll just sit here and we'll just like shoot the breeze and catch up and talk about whatever. And it'll go on for like 20 minutes and we'll be like, man, we really should have just recorded half of that because we were talking about indie games that whole time. We might as well just put it on the show.
Oh, we could talk about real life stuff. Like I'm going on a date with some random girl on Saturday. That should be fun. You know?
Oh, there you go.
I'm going to the fair. You know? I'm going to get some fried stuff. You know? Why not? It's going to be good times. But that's not about indie games, but you know what I mean. I'm excited.
No.
I'm excited.
Hey, enjoy the fair. Get a little cheese on a stick. I assume this is true of every fair, but the fair here in Minnesota, they have cheesecake on a stick and deep fried Twinkies, both of which are quite nice, and I would highly recommend them.
Yeah, I think that I'm just going to forget that I have a diet going on right now when I go out there. Just be like, just go crazy. And I might regret it the day after, but I'm still going to enjoy myself. So it's going to be fun.
Heck yeah. Well, I don't think I have any plans. I guess I could take Leah on a date on Saturday. Maybe I'll do that too, just so that everybody's on a date on Saturday. That sounds like a good time.
Yeah, why not? I mean, yeah. Anyway, indie games.
So let me ask you this, Josh.
Sure.
You know, we've been recording this show for a while now. Do you know when we recorded our very first episode?
I kind of, sort of, sometime in October. It was around my birthday, I think. Something like that.
Yes. So we recorded our very first episode. I guess it would be episode 0 or the pilot. It was a brief episode we titled Welcome to Indiequest. Was first recorded. Well, it wasn't recorded. It was first released October 17th, 2020. So we are getting very close to the 1-year anniversary of Indiequest. The first episode was only like 2 days later. We didn't make people wait for it. We just came right out of the gate with episode 1. So yeah. How you feeling about that? How you feeling about a year of talking about indie games?
I mean, well, we could just say 9 months worth, right? Because we kind of took a break.
Well, it's like a school year, right?
Yeah.
Summer vacation.
And also, okay, well, we probably should have talked about this before, but I just had like a huge inspiration blast right now. Since we're doing this episode where we're kind of reminiscing a little bit, which I guess that's a spoiler for what we're going to talk about here. Halloween's coming up, right? And it's been a little while since we did IQOST, right? So why don't we do a spooky, like creepy music IQOST and then a Halloween episode this year? What do you think?
I'm down for it. So when everyone's listening to this episode, if everything goes according to plan, I mean, the number one podcaster mistake is for me to give an exact date on the episode itself. But
yeah,
if everything goes according to plan, you'll hear this sometime in early October. So we're a little bit before our normal anniversary. Like, you know, we're a couple weeks out from the true anniversary.
Yeah, but we got to talk Halloween, you know? Got to get that Halloween spookiness going on. So
yeah, we're both Halloween hyped, so we always got to clear a lot of runway. Plus, I mean, sometimes we're just jazzed up to talk about Indiequest, okay? You see an anniversary coming and you're like, I'm just going to throw my birthday party now. Why do you got to wait for your birthday?
So we actually have talked about this idea for an episode before. Is kind of going through the quest log and just saying, how do we feel now, you know, so and so months later? And if we do this every year, it'd be like so many years later, you know, and then we can kind of be like, And I don't know if we would change anything, or do you want to change stuff? We can, if we really feel strongly about something. But does it still belong on the main quest? Does it still belong in the side quest? I think we're going to kind of dive into this a little bit. What do you think? I like that idea.
I think it'll be fun. You know, I say this to people all the time. Granted, what we do on Indiequest is not a review. It's something, I guess, review adjacent, but we're not reviewing these games.
Right.
But I always say reviews are subjective, right? Like you can't have an objective review. You can discuss some objective parts about performance and things, but at the end of the day, a review is just someone relaying their experience of a game to you and you seeing if that matches with kind of your expectations and past experience on games. So as a part of that, sometimes you look back at how you rated a game or where you put a game and you're like, you know what? You know, maybe I was just in a really good spot or that was the right game at the right time. But, you know, as time's gone on, it's lost a little of its luster, or the opposite, right? Sometimes you're like, yeah, you know, I was being a little critical of that game, but maybe I was just hangry that day. Maybe I needed a Snickers. And it turns out, no, I think about this game every day. This deserves to be on the main quest. So it'll be fun for us to just go back, look at what we've talked about, and yes, just see where our feelings land.
Okay, so we're saying that Sayonara Wild Hearts does not deserve to be on the quest log anymore? Is that what you're saying?
No. Let's not just start right out the gate with objective lies here. If anything, it's insulting that Sayonara Wild Hearts is only on the main quest and that we didn't create like a story quest or an Uber quest or something for
some
just
other
that game.
Some other like top tier category, like I was trying to think of a reference and it just didn't come to me. So let's just say like diamond armor in Minecraft. But now they have netherite armor, which is an upgraded version of the diamond armor. So this is the netherite armor of the main quest, right?
That's exactly what I was going to say verbatim. The exact same analogy. It's just such low hanging fruit. So yeah, we're gonna look through the quest logs. I think even though, you know, no one wants to just sit here and have me read a list to them, but I do think that it'll be handy for us at the start of each of the two main quest and side quest, just to briefly run down the list, to mention each game that's on it, just so people kind of know like overall what the list was and what we're pulling from.
Yeah, and I'll put some music behind there, make it more interesting. So why don't you run down the side quest for us?
Sure, I can do that. Now, I keep avoiding starting, but I got to say one other thing. We've had about 24, 25 episodes, right?
Yeah.
But remember, when we started, we used to do 2 games per episode. You remember that?
Yeah, at the very beginning, and then everybody's like, this is too much information, and we're just kind of like looking at each other like, is it too much information? And they're like, okay, cool, we can do less work. Sure, why not? We'll bring 1 game per episode.
so we each started only bringing 1 game, but yeah, you old school Indiequest fans will remember that you used to get 4 games per episode, which apparently it's a bit too much. So we've dialed it back, but because of that, you know, we've got about, you know, bi-weekly episodes with a little bit of a break in there, but we've got a solid, gosh, I don't even know, 40-something games across both lists. And that's including IQOST episodes where we don't even bring a game, so dang. But without further ado, here is what we have placed on the side quest. Spinch, Before I Forget, Panzer Paladin, A Normal Lost Phone, Static, Little Inferno, Cthulhu Saves Christmas, Sludge Life, Bug Snacks, Genital Jousting, A Story About My Uncle, Old Man's Journey, Among Us, Kunai, Antechamber, and 12 Minutes. First off, that's a rock solid list of video games. You could have yourself a solid 2021 just playing those.
I think there are no games here that I wouldn't qualify at least as fun and entertaining. But I'm not sure if any of them I would still put on the main quest. Like, I don't think I would move them. I think they feel pretty good on the side quests to me still. Is any of these sticking out to you?
Yeah, a couple thoughts stick out. I don't know that there's any I would move. I think if I was going to consider any of them to move over the ones I would pull most strongly for would be Antechamber or Bug Snacks. But I do think that they that they are comfortable side quest games for different reasons for each of them. Also, I have a bit of like a. This is not how we approach the lists at all, but just in looking at this and sort of doing this thought experiment, we have a lot more games. We have almost twice as many games on the main quest as we do side quests because we're just usually so hype on stuff that we play.
Yeah.
And my brain likes to keep those lists or try to keep them roughly in balance with one another. And so the idea of moving stuff off of a side quest into a main quest when it's already so beefy just like doesn't quite jive. But I don't know, man. Antechamber is so good.
I love it too. I think it's a fantastic, almost perfect puzzle game, like in my opinion. But I think that when we talked about it, you brought it, right? I'm pretty sure.
I think so, yeah. I think I brought that on the episode where we had Pam on. Cannot Be Tamed?
Yeah, and I think that I'm not going to promise it anytime soon, but I think I'm going to go ahead and add a column here on each of these that has an S or a J next to it, so we can see who brought what. You know what I mean? Or maybe color code it. That would probably work. Something like that.
I think.
So that it's very obvious. Oh, Steve brought that game. Josh brought that game. You know, but to me, I think Antechamber is pretty much a perfect puzzle game. But I think that our caveat was that it was kind of hard to recommend for people because it's so hard, like the barrier of entry just to figure the game out in general, because it's so kind of weird and out there that it was kind of hard to be like, yep, definitely main quest. You know, I think that's what our caveat was there.
Yeah, that makes sense. And I think I would still leave it there. It's more just like, in my heart, I'd love to see it higher.
And, you know,
but
genital jousting, just that deserves its own tier too. You know, cucumber tier, whatever you want to say. Go ahead.
Eggplant emoji tier.
Yeah, something like that, I guess.
Oh,
it's so stupid.
Oh boy. So interesting. Here's something that I didn't plan this at the time, but it's funny that it worked out this way. The first episode that we ever did, episode 1, I brought Sayonara Wild Hearts and I brought Spinch.
Mm-hmm.
And these two games are like kind of polar opposites in my head. I think both of them deserve to be on their respective spots on this list. But as time has gone on, anyone that knows me knows that my feelings towards Sayonara Wild Hearts just continue to grow and grow and grow to the moon. I've become like the ultimate Sayonara Wild Hearts recommender. And no one sees anything Sayonara Wild Hearts related without tagging me, which again, I'm very grateful for, people. Thank you for keeping me abreast of that. And then Spinch, it was just like a game that I had played at the time. It's a totally fine puzzle platformer. I know why it's on the side quest. It has some real balance issues, but it's just funny how the two games I chose initially, one became one of my all-time favorite games ever, and one became something that I haven't thought about probably since we recorded that episode.
I actually kind of feel the same way with my first two, Katana Zero and Before I Forget. I do think Before I Forget is one of those that I recommend playing just to experience, like walk a mile in somebody's shoes. You remember what that game's about, right? It's about dementia and like feeling slowly losing your memory. So I feel like it's a game worth playing because of the subject matter. But it's not like a game I'm going to be like highly recommending. It's not a game that's like stuck with me super hard. Like Katana Zero, like I love Katana Zero. I've played it multiple times. And it's one of my favorite, like, you know, games, period. I just think it's a fantastic game. So yeah, I kind of feel the same way. Maybe not as opposite as you're feeling from Sayonara Wild Hearts and Spinch, but yeah.
Good picks, though. You know, all in all, I think we were pretty spot on with this dang side quest.
Yeah, I do too. I like every single one of these games I've played. I've played almost all of them. I don't think any of these I'm like absolutely in love with. I think this is what this is going to prove out, is if one of us puts something on a side quest that the other person doesn't think belongs on the side quest. You know what I mean? And then we're going to have that debate sometime in the future. I think that's what this type of episode would bring about, maybe down the line. But for here, I like this list. I do agree that about like Bug Snacks. I think that's a perfect side quest game. Actually, I'm not as hot on side quests as Bug Snacks as a lot of people are. I thought the game was okay. Only.
Interesting. I wish that it had. I don't know. I don't know how to phrase this. I wish it had more bug snacksing. Like I wish the parts where you're like in the environments hunting bugs.
Yeah.
Was like there was more of that, and they were bigger, and it was just like more involved. But I don't know, man. Bug Snacks as like a launch game for my PS5, I was quite enjoying it.
I enjoyed it too. I thought it was a really fun game. But it actually had the overhyped syndrome for me because everybody's like, the ending, it's so crazy. And then in my head, I was like, okay, they're creatures that you eat them and turn into, like, the game's premise is you eat something and your body part turns into a piece of food. So you can have a burger hand or whatever. So I'm like, so at the end of this thing, it's going to get into some kind of weird territory because, you know, the premise is already weird. So I wasn't super surprised by the ending like a lot of people were. I'm like, okay, this is like what the ending, I expected the ending to be. It was actually a little more dark than I expected, but I'm trying not to spoil it because it's pretty fun to see. But the game didn't like blow me away, but it was a fun, 4 hours or what was it, 6 hours, whatever it was. I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think it sits comfortably in the side quest. I don't even remember which one of us brought it, to be honest.
I think you brought it during our game of the year where we brought like 3 games we loved from last year. I'm pretty sure.
And then you roundly placed it onto the side quest just to make sure that my GOTY list meant nothing to you.
I mean, if you want to put it on the main quest, it's our list. Do what you will. But like you said, it's up to you.
No, I think this is a solid side quest list. And before we move on to the main quest, there's just one other thought I have about the games here.
Mm-hmm.
Side quest, to me, is easier than the main quest because any game that we like can go on the side quest, right? We don't bring games that we didn't like in some form or that we didn't get some enjoyment out of to Indiequest. That's sort of just like the philosophy of the show. But that scale of how much you liked something, how much it meant to you, how important you think it is, both personally and sort of like to the genre or to the just like larger medium, all of that, there's a big chunk of that where it's comfortable in the side quest, and then it feels like the main quest is a little more exclusive. Like you it's like if a website gives a game a 10 out of 10,
yeah,
that editor does like a double take and they ask the person next to them, and they're like, can you like gut check this? Because it seems like a little bit more of an ordeal. Mm-hmm. So even though we have more games on the main quest, I think the side quest will feel more correct. Like that list is more accurate, unchanged in my mind, right? Just because it's a safe place to put things that you don't really feel like maybe main quest material.
So I just had you could shoot this thought down, this idea down, right? So we're doing this anniversary episode. How about every year for the main quest, since we're about to jump over to the main quest, you're going to list them out for everybody. Why don't we crown an anniversary special like award to the one game that we think is the best game we brought to the main quest in that year? How hard do you think that would be? That would be hard.
I love the idea, but I'm looking at the main quest and I'm like, oh, dude, why did I bring all these games in the 1 year?
Like, look, we got like Hades, we got like freaking Shovel Knight in here, and Journey, and Undertale. Like, come on, it'd be Outer Wilds. Come on, like, I don't know, but that was a thought. I was like, maybe, but I don't know.
I'll be curious to hear your thoughts when we get there. I think I know my answer, but.
Okay, we can have that conversation in a minute. So, but do you want to wrap up the side quest? What do you think? I think that, honestly, I actually love the list for the side quests, and the ones that are left here, I do have on my backlog. I actually have them listed out. Like, I plan to play every game we bring here at some point. So, there's no game here that I'm like, yeah, that deserves a main quest feature. I think they're all really fantastic games, like with little caveats, like we always say, with the main quest and the side quest. So.
Yeah, I mean, looking at the list too, I've played most of them. Actually, you do a pretty good job breaking stuff that I haven't played now that I'm looking through it. But most of them I do plan to play. I've never played Before I Forget or A Normal Lost Phone. I'll check those out. I'd say the only two that I may not end up playing are Genital Jousting and Among Us. And both of those are just kind of like, you need a group. They're party games, so they're not ones that I'm just going to download and play for the backlog.
You don't want to play the story mode on Genital Jousting, man? It's about a man and his life. Like, it's some real shit. You need to check it out.
Oh my god. Maybe
You should,
maybe for the 2-year anniversary.
you cannot stream it on Twitch. It's actually banned on Twitch, which for good reason. Anyway, we can oh man, I just love talking about that game. It's fun. Anyway.
So in conclusion, side quest, rock solid list. We nailed it. No changes. But now we get to the meat and potatoes. We get down to the main quest. And we've got 23 games, if math serves me, 24. So let me read through these.
It looks like 26 on my screen. No, wait, 23. You're right. I am looking at an Excel sheet, and it has 26 at the bottom. And there's, okay, you know what? Just do your thing. Do your thing.
There's literally a color-coded column that says 24 that we could have looked at.
I know.
All right.
I did that column, too. I made that column there. Anyway, go ahead.
Games in the main quest are Sayonara Wild Hearts, Katana Zero, Amnesia The Dark Descent, spooky game, Inmost, another spooky game, The Last Campfire, Emily is Away, Moss, Her Story, The Pathless, Hades, Holedown, Braid, Shovel Knight, Disc Room, Outer Wilds, Donut County, The Pedestrian, Journey, Hyperlight Drifter, Undertale, Crumble, Paradise Killer, What the Golf, and Splitgate.
God.
That's a
list.
That's a list if I've ever seen it.
We are doing the job of this show. You know what I mean? Because that list is just immaculate. That's a chef's kiss of a list if I've ever heard of one.
No kidding. I mean, we have like these sort of like break in case of emergency or break glass in case of emergency games every now and again, you know, these like beloved favorites. And we definitely broke that glass a couple times this year when we went back, we dug out Journey to bring to the show.
Right.
We brought Undertale to the show. We brought, the classics of the 2019, one of the best years in gaming, Sayonara Wild Hearts and Outer Wilds.
Oh, Outer Wilds. That's so good. That's such a good game. I've been thinking about that game. Somebody said, I guess that's a spoiler. Something about the Dark Bramble, something in there. I was thinking about that today. Okay, that's all I'm going to say. But
speaking of, before you bounce off that, just so you know, when everyone's listening to this, I believe that the DLC, the Universe DLC, should be out for everyone to check out. I am pumped.
Oh my gosh. I'm going to, so me and my brother have been playing games together. Like, he'll come over like once a week or so. And we played through A Way Out, and we're playing through It Takes Two. So both of Joseph Fares games, which I'm liking It Takes Two, even though it has the worst video game character of all time in it, with a Book of Love. But I think that would be a good game to play with him. Like, he has the sticks, and I'm just there kind of just nudging him. Like, hey, you should check that out over there. You know what I mean? I think that would be a pretty fun experience.
Yeah, I think so too. Plus, I just think every single person in the world should play Outer Wilds. I want everyone to enjoy it. It's essentially the best. It's so good.
It's, dare I say, one of the most perfect video games?
Dare you?
Dare I?
I think I would tend to agree with you. But tell you what, looking at this list, is there anything that you see in there and you're like, yeah, I don't know if this hangs with the rest of the main quest games?
Like, it lost its luster a little bit since it's not as fresh in my mind, type of thing. I actually have two. All
right, I'll give you one of mine. First one that jumps out at me, and it's one that I brought. It's Disc Room. I think when we did this episode, I was kind of like right on the edge of whether or not I felt it was a main quest or a side quest. And I do think Disc Room like really effectively does like the one thing that it sets out to do. And I like that it has this other layer to it. But I don't know. I mean, if we're just going off of like how much real estate does that game take up in your mind long term? I haven't thought about Disc Room since, and I haven't played it, and I don't have much desire to play it. So I think all factors being equal, I'd want to maybe replay it again, but or at least finish everything that I never finished. But I think I would probably push that one just a little bit down to whatever's below the main quest. I'm not too sure.
So So on this, is this our whole goal here is to kind of balance out the main quest and side quest, or are we just leaving it like it is and just talking about it?
I think it's fine that the main quest exists like as it did at the time when we created it.
Okay.
Warts and all. So I don't think we need to move stuff around. Otherwise, we'll just be in a nonstop, endless
Edit fest
cycle of editing it back and forth every other week,
Yeah.
switching it around. So I'm comfortable with where we put stuff. I just think that if we brought things to the show now, it might have landed a little different. But again, Disc Room's awesome. It's always hard to talk about the games in that context without sounding like I'm trying to knock it down, which I guess technically I am. But it's not that Disc Room is worse than I remember. It's like, in looking at it in the full context of the list, it's sitting next to some of my favorite games of all time. I don't know that I would speak about Disc Room in the same conversation.
Yeah, you wouldn't say, yeah, so my favorite games of all time are Hyper Light Drifter, Sayonara Wild Hearts, and Disc Room. You know, you wouldn't say that,
Yeah.
would you? No. Yeah, so I see where I am going to bring a game right here. A game I would say the same thing about, Hold Down, which at the time I did bring it and put it on the main quest, and I kind of did it on the Game of the Year, just like passively, like, yeah, that deserves the whole thing. I didn't even actually like bring like a whole like portion of an episode. It probably was like a 10-minute conversation. Like, yeah, that was a great game, and let's put it on the main quest. And I just threw it on there because I was having such a good time with it at the time. But now I'm like, yeah, that was a decent little mobile game. It's definitely a fantastically made game. It's well made. It's really fun. Really nice time waster. But is it up there with the like this amazing list? Like, am I gonna say Hold Down and Journey together in the same sentence? Probably not. You know what I mean? So that's where I'm at with that one.
You know, I will say, I don't think I had played it at the time that we recorded that episode, but I have since gone back and played and I actually beat Hold Down.
Mm-hmm.
And man, that was a good recommendation. I really like that game.
Thanks.
It is. Yeah. It's kind of everything you want out of a mobile game, right? It's clean, it's easy, it's real pick up and play, but it's also super addictive. You have just as much fun playing it for a couple minutes as you do for 2 hours.
Yeah, it's a solid game. Like, I have nothing against the game, but the main quest is so stacked, like you were saying, that it's like, does that deserve to be on the main quest? Probably, but maybe not if you reframed it. But yeah, I do think it's a great game. So we're not trying to take any of these games down, like we've been saying. We're just saying, what do you think now? And the other one I was gonna just throw out there is Crumble, which is actually pretty relative. Like, it's a March. I think I put it on there in March, and. I loved the game at the time. I just had like a fantastic time playing through it. I played it 2 times in a row because I just enjoyed it so much. But is it, up there with the Outer Wilds or Shovel Knight or Braid? I don't think so. But it's a really well-made game, and I really enjoyed it. So, and the developer's super nice. He's actually like tweeted back at us when I mentioned his game and stuff. So he seems really cool. It's just one guy, and the game was fantastic, but thinking back about, is it Journey? Is it the 3D platforming version of Journey? I don't think so, because Journey is a 3D platforming version of Journey, I guess. But anyway, yeah.
I'd say Crumble probably jumped out to me too. I think when I played it, I would have side quested it.
Yeah,
and mostly because I think the back half, it's difficult in a way where the pacing slows down. And I just loved in that game when you're just shooting in those early levels, especially like those wooded levels where you're just launching at 1,000 miles an hour down these like hollowed out logs and taking big jumps and catching a bunch of air and stuff.
Yeah, it turns into kind of a slower Spider-Man at the end, kind of with all the swinging.
Yeah, it's like Super Meat Boy meets Spider-Man at the end.
Yeah. And I enjoyed that. I thought it was really fun at the time. And obviously it left an impression on me because I brought it to the main quest. But yeah, revisiting that, or if Steve brought it, it probably would have been on a side quest.
Yeah. But definitely a rock solid recommendation of a game and very fun. So I think looking at it, that's probably everything that I like. It's everything that jumps out at me. Everything else here I think is pretty good. I shouldn't even say that. Everything here is amazing, but everything here I think is fitting for the main quest. I could maybe have a conversation about the pedestrian, but that was a really good puzzle platformer. So I don't know. Have you played that one yet?
I still haven't. I actually just have it on my wish list. I haven't even bought it yet, but it is there because of you. So I will check it out down the line someday. I know I might bring it and say, hey, I played the pedestrian, but when I get there, I'll get to it. But yeah, there's too many damn games. That's just how it is.
That's just true. Every now and again, we're like, we should just catch up on the games that are coming out just so we can talk about things that we know we won't have time to play, but we avoided it this time. So, so let me tell you this, though. Here's some picks that I think absolutely are such main quest games. These things are defining the main quest.
All right.
So I guess if we're going to talk like main quest, the main quest of the year, the Questies, the Questie Awards.
The Questie Awards?
Yeah.
I was going to say like a
certified Questies.
Questies, or I was going to say like certified platinum or something, but I like Questies because it's silly enough. So let's just do that.
The Questies.
The Questies. Oh, there we go. Year one Questie Award. Let's do it. I like that.
So here would be my candidates. I think any of these would be in the conversation for me. And let me know what ones you feel I'm leaving out. Sayonara Wild Hearts, Amnesia, The Dark Descent, Hades, Outer Wilds, Journey. I would want to say Hyper Light Drifter, but you haven't played it, right?
Not enough to make a decision, but I know it plays very well. I've played a few hours. I haven't beat it.
And I know I wouldn't pick it over some of those other ones. And Undertale. To me, those are like sort of the standouts for a number of reasons. Standouts in terms of my personal feeling towards them. I know a number of those are standouts that you and I have a connection on both loving. And I think a lot of those are also standouts in terms of just like breakout indie successes that had a lot of influence on other games or will have a lot of influence on other games. So what are your thoughts on that list, and what would you add to that in terms of like contenders here?
For a personal one, for me, I don't think you're as hot on this game as me as Shovel Knight. It's one of my favorite 2D platformers probably ever. I just think it's such a well. I don't know if you're in the same level with me, but it would be a contender with the games you mentioned here. And the rest of the list I think is pretty much it. Hades, I've been playing more Hades recently, so that's actually top of mind right now. I've been trying to get that 10th win. It's tough. I should just play God mode and just do it. But anyway, that's a different conversation. But Journey and Outer Wilds are like, if you're going to ask me, like, if I looked at this list, those two would probably like almost be tied for like possibly winning this, in my opinion. That's just where I'm at right now. What do you think?
Well, I mean, in some ways, this is sort of already settled law for me personally. For anyone that isn't aware, I did a top 10 games of the decade stream. I put together my top 10 games of the 2010s, and my number 1 through 4 was Journey, Outer Wilds, Super Meat Boy, and Sayonara Wild Hearts. 3 of those games are in this top list. Super Meat Boy is our classic example of a break glass in case of emergency.
No, I think we're going to do a huge blowout episode. I'm not going to promise in the next year, but we'll eventually have an entire episode that's just called Super Meat Boy, probably. The Super Meat Boy episode, most likely, will be the name of the episode. So, yeah.
Yeah, we hover around, we orbit around it because it has such a gravitational pull for us. But, I mean, on my list, Journey won the day. And I think I as a person, I ascribe a lot of value to the fact that Journey was like an early defining indie game, like a 3rd generation indie super hit. And there are so many games that exist because of an evolutionary track laid out by Journey. And I mean, we're talking about a span of 10 years only since Journey came out. So like that happened pretty fast, but game development iterates rapidly. Yep. And yeah, I think there are just like so many pieces of things that are pulled from what Journey did. It's so influential, and my experience of it was so powerful that that I would probably give it to Journey. But here's the problem.
Right.
I think Outer Wilds might be one of the smartest games ever.
Well,
And
we don't
Hades
have
is an unbelievable game.
Hades is a perfect video. I don't know. It's so good. Like Hades, I can play Hades all day. I could literally sit down at 5 a.m. and play Hades until 5 a.m. the next day and not get bored. Like that's how good of a game it is, right? You know?
Yeah, I did. I think I did like 50 escapes, and more than me, I've watched my partner put in literally hundreds of hours. She probably has 250-hour playtime. She's done hundreds of escapes, and there is like no duplicate dialogue. She's still getting new story as if it was a main quest, like as if she was on the main storyline.
Wow.
Even though she like has long since passed the credits. It's like, it's just an infinite game. It's like the track keeps laying itself out in front of you, and you're like, how can one game have this much? How can one game be like so like just flawlessly designed? People are going to study this game for the rest of their lives to determine like the artistic merits of game development. I swear they're going to like learn techniques about how to create better games by genetically reverse engineering Hades.
Yeah, and that's such a good argument. That's why it's so hard. That's why that question popped in my head, like, how would we do the first ever Questie? I guess that's what we're calling them now. Whatever. How would we actually do that? Because it's like almost an impossible task. So how would we go about doing this? Because like you said, Hades is fantastic. Journey laid the foundation for indies as we know it. I think a lot of these games would say Journey is one of their primary inspirations. Like, and then we have Outer Wilds that's more fresh. You know, it's only a couple years old, and it's just like one of the best, most smartly made universes. Like one of the best time loop games ever made, except for Deathloop. But that's not an indie game. But I'm obsessed. I'm obsessed with Deathloop. It's so amazing. But that's a different podcast conversation for a different podcast. Anyway. How are we supposed to do that, man? Like, I don't know. What do you think?
It's difficult. It's impossible, right? At the end of the day, we're choosing between our children. I do think I love the fact that we're arguing between a game that came out in 2011 and games that came out in 2019 and 2020. Like, talk about beginning and end of a decade here that are just absolutely rocking it. It's good to know that indie games have been good forever.
Yeah. And so do you want to just scrap the idea of a Questie, or do you want to actually do it? Like, that's why I'm asking you. We didn't talk about this beforehand because this is something I came up with while we were talking here. So what do you think?
Just make it a tie. It's a 3-way tie between Hades, Outer Wilds, and Journey.
I'm just going to say it's Outer Wilds. All right, let's go to the next thing. You brought some games. We each brought a game, right?
We did each bring a game. So
right.
Yeah. I will how about I go first? How does that sound? Wow, talk about a jarring transition for people. People are in the middle of listening to us talk about the main quest, and suddenly we're like, get over here for talking about new games.
No, but like it's hard for me to we can't pick one. Like, it's a fun idea on paper, or not. It's on paper, just loosely in the air, I guess. It's in our faces, but we can't pick. We can't. It's like if we had 24 children and we had to pick a favorite. Like, we probably have a favorite, but like we're not going to each agree probably what the favorite is.
So true. And like different days I'd feel differently. So I think everything that we just talked about forever is your Questie.
Yeah. All right, man. Go ahead and jump into your indie pick for this episode. Let's do this.
Yeah, so, we're getting nostalgic, but that doesn't mean we're not about to bring some video games and talk about things and add them to the quest log. We're starting year 2. We're building the next set of candidates for the Questies, baby.
Yes,
all right,
absolutely.
So the game I brought is a recent release, and it is Hoa. That's HOA. Are you familiar with Hoa?
Yeah, I've seen some videos of it. I've seen the graphic style. It kind of reminds me of like a. I just see a lot of like greenery and forestry, and seems kind of almost reminiscent of Ori, just like from a glance. I haven't really dove deep into it. So why don't you tell me what's so great about Hoa?
Yeah. So Hoa is it's a puzzle platformer, very much a puzzle platformer. It came out August 24th, 2021, so it's a pretty recent release. It's developed by a studio named Scroll Cat Studio, and I'm not sure. I believe that they've done other games, but I think this was kind of their biggest game to date. I don't think that they've done much at this scale or maybe just at this level of publicity. So, published by PM Studios too. So, but Hoa is, dude, this is just like comfort game incarnate. So, you play as this adorable little, I think they're a fairy, or like a spirit guide or something, and you arrive on this island, and you pretty quickly learn. I don't think this is too much of a story spoiler, that you're sort of like traveling into the heart of this island and in doing so understanding a past event that happened there. So it's you kind of like sort of learning about your own past, learning about the history of this island. The story is relatively light, but it's enough to drive you forward. But the main reason you're going to play this game, that everyone's going to play this game, is the art style and the soundtrack. So it looks like a watercolor painting. Like, it just looks beautiful in motion. It's like halfway between a watercolor painting and I don't know, like an animated film or something, like Secret World of Arietti or something like that.
Nice.
And looks beautiful in motion. Tons of bright colors. You know, it's very foresty. There's lots of greens, and they do some nighttime scenes, so there's lots of pretty blues and stuff like that. But it's very striking visually, very clean, very adorable. And the soundtrack that's playing the whole time is just this beautiful, orchestrated, kind of sweeping composition. I think live recorded, actually. Live recorded orchestral. It really feels, and I know that this is maybe a bit of a like easy comparison to draw, that people draw to a lot of things, but it sounds like the soundtrack to a Ghibli movie. It sounds like something you'd hear Joe Hisaishi produce.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Okay. I forgot my question already. So you're describing this game that looks good, sounds good. How does it play?
The play itself, and this is why I say it's a comfort food game. It's a puzzle platformer in the most literal sense. You basically, it's structured in a pretty repetitive way. You enter into a sort of large area. Think of like, you know, the type of map that you'd see in a Metroidvania, but if it was only like 4 or 5 rooms. So like a really mini subset of an area from a Metroidvania. And you go through this area. You have to basically find these different butterflies that are hidden throughout the area. You're kind of collecting them. And when you get 5 of them, you bring them back to some central figure, which is usually another character on the island, and they'll teach you one new ability. So, you know, the early abilities, again, probably not spoilers. I apologize if people consider this a spoiler. Early abilities are like, oh, now you can push heavy blocks. Now you can double jump, stuff like that. And then you use those to like solve just kind of general environmental puzzles and navigate your way through the world. It's never difficult. In fact, most of the puzzles, I don't think there was really ever a puzzle that I was stumped on or even had to think that hard about.
Yeah.
So it's you kind of just like sliding into autopilot and going through the motions and appreciating more the visuals of this world, and like the soundtrack sort of washing over you more than you actually are invested in the moment to moment gameplay.
Mm-hmm.
But you know, if you want something to just like de-stress, unwind, and sort of turn your brain off and not have to think, not have to worry about getting too stuck, I think for most people, especially anyone familiar with a puzzle platformer, this will be a really straightforward game.
Nice. And it looks like, just looking at some gameplay here as you're talking, just to kind of I could speak, familiarize myself with it. It's a game about the vibes. Really,
It's vibes.
Yeah, you're just vibing out as you play. That's what it seems like to me.
It really is, and I mean, this sounds reductive, but it's go watch the trailer. If you see something you like in that trailer, and you want to do that for like 2 to 3 hours, boom, go play Hoa, because the Hoa is what you see in the trailer.
Yeah. Okay. You sold me. Like, I was already probably going to play, like, it's like one of those, like, I'd probably check that out sometime. But now it's kind of, yeah, if I'm in the mood to just kind of chill out one afternoon and just enjoy a little mini game, sounds great. So, anything you want to say before we throw this on the quest log today?
Yeah, no, I mean, again, just like the game itself, I think that it's sort of brief in its explanation, and yeah, I think Hoa is pretty cool. I didn't know what to expect, and I think for some people maybe that saying that it is not a very difficult or really that mentally engaging of a game might be a downside, but I think it serves a really specific niche and like provides a very specific function for someone who wants a certain type of game to help them feel a certain type of way.
Okay. So I guess I need to tell people what the quest log is. We talked about it like in the first half for so long, so let's
for
just say
all those listeners where this is their first episode and they jumped halfway through, why don't you tell them what the quest log is?
The main quest is a game that's just bulletproof and fan-freaking-tastic. It's just like, God, look at this video game. I hold it up on a pedestal. It's so freaking amazing. I don't know what this character is or what I'm doing right now, but the side quest...
kind of bitter about it.
I guess. Anyway, the side quest is a game that's pretty damn good. It's a highly recommended game, but maybe it's not for everybody. But maybe it's for you, and it could be your main quest game. And yeah, that's pretty much the definition. I don't know why we didn't do that at the top. It would have made more sense. But anyway, where would you put Hoa on our fantastic quest log?
To me, easy side quest. So this game's not a core shaker. I don't think it's gonna like rock your world or fundamentally change how you feel about games. It's not even like the best in show in terms of puzzle platformers. In fact, by a lot of metrics, it's a pretty bog standard puzzle platformer. But it's just like you said. I couldn't have said it better. It's vibes the game. It's comfort gaming. It is just like a relaxing afternoon whenever you need one. So definitely check it out. Confidently going on to the side quest.
Awesome. So I guess it's my turn to talk about a game here. And it's actually a new game too. It came out in April. It's called Before Your Eyes, right? Before Your Eyes. That's it, right?
I always forget if it's Before Your Eyes or Behind Your Eyes. Or
it is Before Your Eyes.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. I'm not sure if I'm going to cut that out, but you guys will find out when you listen to it. Before Your Eyes is a very unique game. It's a very narrative-focused game, but it has a very interesting control mechanic. It uses your webcam to basically use your eyes to move around the environment, to like look at things in the environment, and every time you blink, time passes. So you only have as long as you can keep your eyes open to see the environment and to like enjoy the storyline. So it makes for some very interesting moments in the gameplay.
Interesting. So when I first saw trailers for this game, I thought, oh, that's so cool that it uses your webcam and when you blink, stuff happens. And then I don't know where I got this, but I just misinformed myself at some point that that's not how it works and that the blinking was like you clicking the mouse cursor. And I was so happy to learn that it actually is you blinking your eyes in real life as you play. So how mechanically does that work out? Obviously don't spoil anything, but some people blink a lot and some people don't. And as soon as you start thinking about blinking, you lose all like natural control of it. I apologize to everyone listening who no longer has automated blinking. It'll revert in about 20 minutes when you stop thinking about it again.
And then it's kind of like when you're trying to like, you think, hey, I'm breathing right now. So everybody's going to be very focused on their breathing now too. Anyway, yeah, it's weird. It's kind of unique. I think that's the most unique part about the game. The narrative has some kind of cool trappings to it. I think the art style is very nice. It's kind of flat shaded textures, but they kind of do have a painterly style in the backgrounds and stuff. It does look very nice. So in the environments, you'll see eyes, literal eye icons that you can use your mouse if you're playing on PC. I don't know if it's on console yet. I think it's only on PC currently, but you look at the eye cursor with your mouse, and then you literally look at it with your eyes, and then as soon as you blink, it's going to change the scene or move time forward. It usually moves time forward multiple years, or maybe just to the next room. It depends on the story, where the story's at. But pretty much the idea is you're trying to absorb as much of the story as you can while you keep your eyes open. And that is actually kind of cool about the game, because you can't live in any of these moments too long. But there are some very, very harsh scenarios that will really punch you in the gut with some emotion. It's a very emotional game. And you kind of want to sit in that emotion a little bit longer. I feel like every single time you're in, like, you see something like that kind of hits you with the feels, you're like, man, I want to just sit here and just kind of like be in this scene for a minute. But then you blink and then you're at the next scene. So it's kind of like it's a almost cheesy metaphor for life, like blink and it's gone type of thing. I think that's kind of what they're going for with this game. But I do think the emotional like aspects of the game do really hit hard. It didn't make me like cry or really even tear up, but it really did like leave an impression on me, the storyline. And it's very well done. I think that the mechanic is very well thought out, and I don't think it like is a hindrance to the game. I think it actually adds to the like feel of the game and the tone and the message of the game.
Yeah, very cool. And you think, does it have like a consistent sort of like storyline, like an A to B that follows through to the end, even though you're jumping all around in time, and even though it's happening at different speeds for different people, there's still like a narrative you can follow all throughout?
Yeah, and I guess I should frame it better, because you are in the shoes of somebody and you are experiencing their life from A to B. You're basically living their life from infantile times to adult times. So,
oh, cool.
So say you're a kid and you're playing with some toys, and then you're doing baby talk to your mom, and then you see an eye icon, and then you blink and you're like 5 years old, and you're now doing something else, in the house, playing piano or something like that. And then you blink again and you're like a teen, it like kind of moves along their life. I guess that's a better way to explain it, because if I just say, oh, you're just jumping around time, it doesn't make as much sense. But yeah, you're pretty much just seeing somebody's life through snapshots at different like time periods of their life, if that makes sense.
Yeah, definitely. And I got curious actually while we were talking. I was like, if this game jumps every time you blink, I wonder if the speed run is just like 20 seconds long, because someone could just look at their webcam and go pa 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 and blink as fast as possible. But in looking up the leaderboards for it even the fastest speedrun time's like 50 minutes. So is this a long game?
It's about, I think it took me about 3 hours to play, maybe 4, somewhere around there. And I think that it could take a little longer if you linger more than me, because I do have a little bit of a eye tick myself. I notice my right eye will randomly blink. I just kind of have an eye tick anyway. So it's like people think I'm winking at them a lot, which I've noticed my whole life. But so that maybe sped up my time just a little bit. But besides that, it was a really fun game. I did have some desyncing issues. Definitely want to play in a lot of light and make sure you're well lit and that they can see your eyes very well in the webcam, because I was kind of playing in the dark, like, oh, I want to just like turn all the lights off and enjoy this game in the dark. Does not work with the webcam. You have to have your face lit very well for it to actually register the blinks. But besides that, I do think the storyline is pretty great. It's maybe not the best story I've ever experienced, but like I said, it does bring the emotion, and it does have some subversion of expectations that I don't want to spoil here, but let's just say it's going one way and then it goes another way, and you're like, oh my god, I can't believe it did that, and that's as vague as I can be without spoiling anything. But I do think the story is worth playing through, and I think the game is, if you can get it for like $10, $15, it's a damn interesting experience, and I think the story is well told.
Heck yeah. I love a game that has one like core mechanic, and they like sort of just like decide what they can do with that and make a tight, cohesive experience out of that. So this sounds like basically exactly that. So I mean, outside of the core mechanic and the story, which we've talked about, how are you feeling about the rest of this game? Right, like graphically, is it looking pretty good? Is there even a soundtrack? And does the music cut out every time you blink? I'm curious about how that works.
Yeah, so the graphics, like I said, kind of vaguely, they're like, think like a low poly like PlayStation game kind of, but then they add kind of like these like painterly, like almost brush strokes on the environment and stuff to kind of make it like you're looking through somebody's eyes. So like the peripheral vision is almost looking like a painting on the outside, like kind of like gets fuzzy on the peripheries. So where you're looking is more focused in, kind of like your real eyes would do, but of course with more of like an artistic style. So you do play as a musician in the storyline. So there is a big focus on piano music and like concerto, like, you know, orchestra music.
Oh, cool.
And then there's a lot of that in there. And then there is some actually really cool indie bands kind of woven in on the radios as you're in different environments. And the music does shut off if you go through a scene. So say you're in a scene and there is like a boombox in the environment, it's playing some indie band, and then you blink and you go 2 years in the future, that music's just going to shut off just like everything else in the scene does. So they do build out the environments, and the music is really well done. I think that it's one of the highlights of the game for sure. And I do think it sounds and looks great. But yeah, the whole point of the game is to look at it, right? So I mean, hopefully it looks okay, right? But yeah, well, I guess that's any video game. You look at any video game, right? But yeah. We're not being naysayers here, I guess, or whatever. But what am I saying? It's a great game. I don't know.
Awesome. Well, I mean, I've already been sold on this game, but you've done even more to kind of solidify it as something that I really would like to play by the end of the year, because I could see it being something I would consider in Game of the Year discussions, because it came out 2021, right?
Yeah, I think it was like the end of March, early April, somewhere around there. So it did come out this year.
All right, cool. Well, any final thoughts, or are you ready to drop it on the quest log?
I think final thoughts is, if you're a parent, I think this will resonate with you a bit more than if you're not a parent. So I'm not a parent, so it did resonate with me. But if you have kids, this will really ring true, I think, for sure, just because of the themes of the storyline. So that's one little thing I would just want to throw in there. And for the quest log, while I'm talking about it, and it's getting more fresh in my mind here, because it's been a little while since I played this, I think I'm going to throw it on the main quest. I think this is actually like almost teetering to a side quest because of the blinking mechanic. That could be a caveat, I could say, but I think the whole game as like all together, the story, the graphics, the music, and everything, and what it sets out to do, it has one thing it wants to do. It wants to have this creative mechanic and go from one part of somebody's life to the other part. And it does it in creative ways, and it does it in unexpected ways, and I think it's worth your time to sit down for 3 or 4 hours and blink at your screen a little bit and check out this game.
More games based on the 5 senses, please. Where's the game that I play by tasting different types of foods?
I want that. I want that so much.
Lifeline on PS2 walked so that before your eyes could run. I like it.
And I never made one blink joke for your username either, so kudos to me.
I also had to resist, so we both were very strong-willed there. But you know what? We can't say for sure that we escaped it without seeing what the title of this episode comes out as. I don't think we'll make a blink pun, but you never know.
Well, we'll see. We'll see where it comes. But anyway, I think that's it for the episode. Do you want to just throw some plugs out there real quick? Where can they find you streaming every week? What's up with you? What do you got going on the internet here?
Yeah, I'm online. I'm on the internet. We all are, right?
Yeah.
Whether we want to be or not, we're trapped. That's the time we were born into. So I am on Twitter at BlinkOom. That's Blink OOM, like out of mana. And I'm also on Twitch. I stream Tuesdays, Thursdays, Fridays, usually starting at 7 Central, but I'm actually going to probably be twisting and starting to do some later streams. If you're catching this at the beginning of October, it's worth mentioning that all October we're doing nothing but Halloween or horror and Halloween adjacent games. So we're only playing things that are scary or things that are objectively appropriate in the spirit of a playful Halloween. And yeah, it's going to be a real fun month of streams. So come check me out over there. But Josh, where can they find you?
I do too much stuff on the internet, you know that. But I'm over at Frantic Society on Twitter. I actually started a YouTube channel that I'm kind of just doing for fun called Frantic Foods, where I eat food. It's literally review food, talk about food. I mean, everybody likes food, right? So it's pretty fun. But it's an
amazing channel. The first episode, he takes like the one chip challenge, and you'd think, he's gonna play it up. He's gonna like make a YouTube thumbnail out of this. No, he just gets mad.
I was
angry.
Pissed off at it. Yeah, I was pretty mad about it.
It's funny.
The thing kind of it sucked so bad, but I thought it'd be fun because my family, like, I told my mom about it, and she was like super hyped about it. She's like, "Yeah, we should do that." And then she got her husband, my stepdad, to be like, "Yeah, I'll do it." I'm like, "Okay, so I'm gonna buy the chips." He's like, he said, "Oh, sure, you're gonna do it. You won't buy the chips." I bought the chips, and then I had them all eat the chips, and it was a fun time, a cheesy little family video. I enjoyed doing it, but going forward, I'm just gonna be reviewing like random snacks and stuff. And actually, this is coming from like inspiration is SNES Drunk was kind of pushing me to do this because I always like try random snacks that come out. He's like, just make a review channel. Why you're eating them anyway? Just review them. I'm like, you know what? Good idea. So that's what that channel is going to be. So go check that out. And then I also have my own podcast called Frantic Thoughts that should have a new episode around this time or a little bit before this episode. And then Box Office Bliss, which will have a new episode around this time too. So if you want to hear me or whatever, I'm out there doing my thing. And I'm also here, a part of the Polymedia Network with Steve, and he is part of the Polykill podcast. So do a quick pitch of the Polykill podcast for us.
Yeah, Polykill podcast is all about us working through our backlogs, beating games, and sharing what the communities beat too. So it's goofy. We joke around. We have fun. We talk about games that are coming out, games we're playing, games we're beating. And not just indie games. We do talk about the AAA boys over there too, and the retro boys. So come check out Polykill. Check out everybody on the Polymedia Network. I don't know that we'll have time to go through every show, but everyone loves Drunk Friend, classic podcast. I think right up there with, This American Life and every other eternally popular podcast is Drunk Friend.
Last podcast on the left, and then Drunk Friend. It's like right there. And then we got PD's Power Hour, which is like right there too. And then you got Indiequest. Like you go down like 200 or 300 podcasts, and we're right there somewhere, just middling around with Giant Bombcast or something. But I don't know. But check out the network. We have so many fun episodes, and I'm a big fan of the network, and I'm just happy to be like a part of it. It's just a great time.
Yeah, it's a genuinely great network of podcasts, and I don't just say that because I'm on it. So please go check all those out at polymedianetwork.com. Last bit of housekeeping, if you want to talk to us, you can send us an email at indiequestpod@gmail.com. Write in, if you have anything you'd like us to discuss, a game you played. We're always happy to read things on the show. In fact, for this episode, I'd be real curious to hear, one, any memories you have of 1 year of Indiequest, and then two, what you would nominate as the Questie out of the games that we have mentioned. I know that a lot of people probably will push for Shovel Knight, and there's some other people that feel very strongly about some of those other games too. So we objectively landed on a Questie, so you too can objectively land on a Questie.
Yeah, it's Outer Wilds. Okay, go ahead.
It is. And just look forward. Our podcast's coming up here in the next couple of weeks, or our next couple of releases are going to be some good spooky themed ones. We are both Halloween boys in our hearts, so look forward to some horror, some spooky, some music, and just get into the fall vibes with us. Happy autumn.
Yeah. I got a text today from one of my friends. It's like, it's the first day of fall. And I'm just like, yes, finally.
Yeah. I took a walk today at the golden hour, right around 6 or 7 p.m. and couple of those trees are starting to turn. You get some reds and yellows towards the top.
Oh my god, you gotta love it. And I'm in the Pacific Northwest, so it's even better because it has the chill. Like in the South, there's like no chill. Like I woke up this morning, it was like a nice brisk 48 degrees, and I put on a hoodie and I walked out with my dog, and it was just perfect. And because I could see the sun, I was just so happy. So enjoy the fall, guys. It's no other better time of the year.
No, it's objectively the best. It's the outer wilds of the seasons. So thanks, everybody. We appreciate you listening.
Thanks. And I was going to say, well, it's the journey of the seasons, or what was the other one? Sayonara Wild Hearts of the Seasons. I don't know.
The Hades of the seasons. The underworld of the seasons.
All right, guys.
All right.
This is we're kind of just falling off a cliff here with this outro. So see you on the next episode. We love you.
Peace. Because I have a couple that I'd like to mention.
Bye. Whoa. Where'd he go?
My Discord crashed. I'm sorry you have to edit this, Josh.
Bye, Steve.
Are we back?
I see your icon and hear you.
All right, we're back now. Can you see my screen? There we go.
There it is. Yep. Okay.
Right. Sorry, you'll have to edit that little bit. I apologize.
No, that's okay. You were gonna jump in and say yours. Go ahead.
Okay.